where 10 years ago they were all male. If you watch any games you played 10 years ago, even in The Last of Us Part 1, the key characters were male. Now I know Ellie
The
was a key
protagonist
character.
was always a
She
male,
was
wasn't it?
I think
always male.
Or Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider was the exception.
Tomb Raider broke the mold.
That's like
Yeah. So what we've seen over the last 10 years, rightly so, is kind of trying to address the balance a bit. So we're seeing more and more games now where we have really strong female leads, and they're amazing games. They're not just cheap rubbish indie games. They are top AAA. Horizon Zero Dawn, my favorite game of all time. And I think what you're seeing now is the next step up, which is saying, actually, we now need to have characters that where we don't try and pigeonhole their sexuality. And I think the next stage in this is black characters, because we're still not seeing antagonists or protagonists, that as strong black leads. We're not seeing that yet. That's got to be the next thing. It's got to happen. It's got to happen. So I get we did it for females, brilliant, and I'm so pleased that that's the case. There are games out there now that are addressing homosexuality and different genders, and now we need to see the same thing with different races. So and let's face it, it happens first in games. It's fairly full on. I do get what you're saying.
Yeah.
What I find in the game is that you've got two aspects to it, really, and she makes a really good point.
Yes, she did.
The two aspects are that you've got the cut scenes, and then you've got your kind of exploration stuff, and none of those themes carry into the actual game itself. They're purely in the cutscenes, right? And they don't. It can. Talking from somebody who genuinely is, I'm not a member of the community at all, as you know. I'm that's not the case. But talking of somebody who believes strongly in the rights of all people, I can understand how some would look at that and say it's too gratuitous. And I don't mean that in the adult sense. Because there are later in the game, there are very heterosexual sexual scenes. In fact, much more so. I mean, literal body nudity that you don't see in the lesbian scenes earlier in the game. So you could argue that sexuality, and I suppose in a future world where you've gone down, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Do you guys are familiar with that, with the term of Maslow's? So if you ever study sociology or psychology. What you learn about in Maslow's is imagine a pyramid. And if you're on the bottom of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you are base. Everything's about survival. Anything else, any luxuries in the world, they're all gone. You're purely about surviving. And at the very top of Maslow's, you've got everything. And what Maslow shows is that when you're down the base, you do anything to survive. You're virtually animalistic. And when you're at the top, and you've got everything in the world, you tend to give back down. You see a lot of people at the top of Maslow's kind of giving money and helping out with charities and stuff. So what you're seeing in the game is everybody's at the bottom rung because the world's been destroyed. 25 years ago was the world we live in. And then it came to an end with the virus. How ironic. So these are people that are just reforming societies now. And they have nothing, the only thing I've got, I tell you the truth, the only thing I've got to complain about with that game is I've been playing it for some time now and I'm not seeing them eat anything. They must be starving in that game. I mean, they're not even, it's like, hang on, guys, you got to eat at some point. I've not seen you eat anything. So, in a sense, if you're talking about being on the bottom rung, you expect the animalistic attitudes of people to be there as well. And I think what the game's trying to say is that even when things are really bad and we're right down the bottom, we still have relationships at the forefront of our minds, whether that's friendship, whether that's sexuality, whatever that is. And I think that's the point that it's trying to make.
What you probably find is, mate, like the next time you play it, cheese and ham? No, ham and cheese.
we do have more to ourselves than sexuality, but in fairness to the game, although it's absolutely a point in the game, it isn't about the game. The game's actually about revenge and how you deal with two sides of an argument. Because again, I don't want to give too much away, but the thing that I love about this game is you play half of it thinking the other half is evil, and then it flips and you play the other half and you get to realize they're not. It's exactly what Ray and I were saying earlier about when you've only got a small aspect, a small view, a small window on other people, it's easy for the narrative to be that they're evil. And then it's only when you talk to those people and you embrace their culture and you understand them that you realize they're the same as us. And that's what the game does. For me, that's the strongest part of this game. Not the fact that it decides to deal with any form of sexuality. The fact is that it says, we've taken you on a journey where you've thought for various reasons that these people are evil and they need to be destroyed. And now, right at the very point where it looks like you're going to have your moment of glory, we're flipping the story. We're sending you back and you're going to play it from the enemy's perspective. And you go, oh my God. And initially you feel really uncomfortable because you've not liked this person up until now. They've even been made to look a little odd looking. And then over the next course of events, you realize why their father died too, and this stuff happened, and this happened. And by the end of it, I'm feeling as sympathetic to the enemy as I am to the original character, the original hero character. That's the game for me. That's the bit that it does, and no other game in my memory's ever done that. And that's what I love about this game.
Okay, now I got to play this game. I got to
I've
play.
done a good job of selling it for you, Ray.
You've sold it, mate.
I got to play.
Yeah.
I got to play this game now. But
yeah. But I totally respect your view on this, Shirley, and I think you've got a very good point. And it's a definite debate point, and I think it'll be debated for some time. But for me, I just don't want to take away from the fact that it's more about people understanding other people of color, of sexuality, of different nations and so on. It's more about that than it is about focusing purely on sexuality. I don't think that's the whole part of this game. I suppose one thing they could have done differently is that they could have had the initial character female, which it is, Ellie, and then the other part that you play could have been male. I suppose that would have been one way to have dealt with the gender issue that you rightly point out. But I think it's a great step in the right direction. So I'm kind of cautious about criticizing it too much because I want to see other games take on similar themes. I want them to feel that it's dangerous to go down that road. And I think if we do that, if we start pilloring games for taking on sensitive subjects, then it just pushes it back into the box. And I think we need, this time more than ever, where we're in a world where people are hating on people for their sexuality, for their color, for their language they speak. More than ever, we need this kind of game to bring us back together again, to redress the balance. So for me, I hear what you're saying, but I would be very sad if there was enough pressure that stopped it from happening, because I think we just continue down the slippery slope that we're on if we do that.